So today I'm going to talk about 6 ways to upgrade your peer group and why it is absolutely critical to do so. But before I jump in today's show, if you have not been over to nextlevelwholesaling.com and you are looking to build a wildly profitable wholesale business that throws off cash month after month after month without your personal day-to-day involvement, if you want to do big deals without being on a treadmill and have a business that serves you versus being a slave to it, got to take the free assessment at Next Level Wholesaling. It is my gift to you. It's one that my mentor helped create for me, and I have never looked back. So go to nextlevelwholesaling.com, take the assessment, totally free, totally confidential, super easy. And I got to tell you, this is a real eye opener. So go to nextlevelwholesaling.com. All right. So I heard this from Brian Tracy, and I don't know where he got it from, but basically he said that your reference group is one of the most important factors for success. The people who you spend time with, the people who you call your friends. Think about it. It is this big incestuous relationship of which you look at each other at the level at which you want to play life. Okay, let me give you a perfect example. So I live on the end of a long driveway and it's super private, but at the end of a long driveway, I have my neighbor. And my neighbor's house, it's again, we live at this end of this long driveway, kind of faces the side of my house. And again, it's super private, but he looks right at the side of my house. And he is retired, and his yard and house are like absolutely impeccable. And so yesterday I go out and I see my kids have thrown the trash out, but the trash is like hanging out of the garbage can. And I see there's some broken down boxes that are on the side of the trash can and it's not there. And I see that the can to the greens, right? That's like the landscaping clippings. It's wide open, right? And I look at it and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. And my neighbor, whose house is impeccable, right? I could tell that I feel that he is judging my side of my yard. And so immediately I go and I go, kids, we need to do better. All right. These trash cans over here, they all need to be lined up on the side of the house. All the recycling needs to be below the lid. All the lids need to be closed. They all need to be in line. Not only because we want to be respectful because he has to look at it, but hey, we want to look like we have it together. And in that moment, I realized that my reference group, my friend group, was affecting the way that I wanted to live life, right? And being my kid's father, I also affect the way that they live life. It's another word of saying they set the standard. And if you think about this, it works almost every way in life, right? If you are hanging out with a group of atheists, right, you will be the sixth. If you are overweight, or if you hang out with 5 overweight people, you'll be the sixth. If there are 5 people making $30,000, $40,000 a year, guess what? You will be the sixth because your income thermostat, your health thermostat, your behavior and moral thermostat will always fall to the level of your peer group. Do not be deceived into thinking that you will raise the level of the people around you. The much more likely scenario is that you will be dragged up or down depending on the numbers of people you hang out with. So if you hang out with 5 people who are playing life lower than you want to be at, guess what? You're going to be dragged down. If you hang out with people who are playing 5 levels up than you, and there's 5 of them, you are going to be forced to level up in those areas. And so it is the easiest way to level up in your life is to hang out with people playing at a different level than you, because when you are with them, you will feel uncomfortable, right? You will be out of your comfort zone. That's why personal training works. That's why group training works, is because the people around you, if they're pushing you, you will be brought up. So today I'm going to talk about 6 ways to upgrade your peer group. I'm going to start with one of the easiest. Let's say that you are newer to investing and you're not around a whole lot of entrepreneurs, but one of the things that I like to do is join local groups that are focused on self-improvement. So one of the things that I spent a lot of time with was Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a group that helps you with your public speaking. Now, of course, I think it's great that everyone is going to work on their public speaking, but Toastmasters is something that people voluntarily do. They take time out of their day to invest in themselves. And so the people who go to these things usually are playing at a different level than your average bear. So Google Toastmasters, find a club in your area, learn how to communicate. I can tell you it's going to do nothing but good for you. Number 2 is Rotary clubs. Rotary clubs are full of people who are invested in their community. And I attend one Rotary club on occasion, and I run into school superintendents, I run into city council members, I run into respected business leaders, I run into retired millionaires, people who just really, really care about those communities. That's a way that you can, again, level up and get involved in your community. Also a good source of deals. Check out your local Chamber of Commerce. Local Chamber of Commerce is full of people who own businesses in your town. And not only Chamber of Commerce is a good place to meet people and level up and make friends, but also maybe if you want to buy a business sometime in the future that might be adjacent to yours, you want to check that out. So check out Chamber of Commerce. So these are all relatively inexpensive ways to do it, and that's my first suggestion. Number 2, paid masterminds. I really like paid masterminds, and so I am always going to suggest that you try to go local first, because remember, this is all about ways to upgrade your peer group, people who you see most often, people who will see you on the day-to-day. So you want to check out Entrepreneurs Organization. If you are making less than $250,000 a year, EO, right, it's called, has something called EO Accelerator. You can check that out, or EO is for people making over grossing over $1 million a year. So you could check that out. There's Vistage. There are also real estate investing clubs. I want you to be careful about those, though. Okay, there's a lot of local real estate investing clubs, which are great, and you can meet people there, but you got a lot of people playing at a really low level. Now, again, there are some people playing at a high level there, but in general, you find a lot of people who just want to talk about doing deals and never do deals. And so there's a little bit of an epidemic at local real estate clubs where you get people who are not doing deals and they all hang out together, and then you've got like the top players hanging out in one corner. So if you go to a local real estate investing club, make sure that you hang out with the top players and find out who they are. Number 3, paid mentors and coaches. I am a big believer in paying for a mentor and a coach. It's one of the best investments that you can make. These people will push you. They will get out of your comfort zone. They see your blind spots. They'll tell you where really the things that the ugly truth that you need to see. Number 4 is seek out a local free mentor. Okay, don't confuse this with a paid mentor. Paid mentors usually are industry specific, can give you some connections. Local mentors are, again, someone who is local, who may mentor you, but I think that you should get both. Now, you can find someone who is significantly more successful than you, right? If you're finding someone locally who, let's say, is making, you're making 50 grand a year, I would try to find someone who's making at least $500,000. Right? If you're making $1 million, I would try to find someone who's making 10 million, or someone who's made millions. And so you're like, wow, this person mentor me. Well, a worthy mentee is hard to find, right? If you notice, I do this podcast religiously now for the last 2.5, coming up on 3 years here, and I love to coach for free on this podcast. Now, I do offer paid coaching. And by the way, if you are interested in that, go to nextlevelwholesaling.com. But for people who are at a different level, who aren't ready for paid coaching with me, right, there's the podcast. And I really, really, really enjoy that. And so you can get hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of free coaching just by listening to this podcast. And there's other people locally who would love to mentor you for free because it drives us. It drives us. So number 5 is back away from toxic relationships. I find that if your life is full of toxic people, you are not going to leave room for the people who can come into your life who could force you to level up. And this is not for everybody, but I can tell you what, if your friends are currently into drugs, alcohol, porn, infidelity, okay, you're in trouble. This is not about morality. For me, my goal for you on this podcast is for you to make a lot of money. All right. So purely from a financial standpoint, and if you're listening to this, these are things that you got to remove from your life. Why? Because each one of these by themselves has the ability to completely tear down your life in an instant. Okay. Drugs. Okay. You can obviously there's addiction issues. You're not acting in your best capacity, right? You can miss out on a lot of opportunity. One bad decision, right, can ruin your reputation for life. Same goes for alcohol. Okay. Porn, waste of time. It fries your brain, gives you an unrealistic view of what sex should look like in a healthy marriage, right? And it really, I can tell you one of the most important things that you can do, this is debatable, right? Is to get into a loving, supporting relationship with a supportive spouse. I can tell you this, that one of my biggest drivers, and again, there's a lot of single people listening to this, so, nothing against anyone single, but being married and having a family is one of the things that really drives me out of my comfort zone, right? I've got big boy bills. I've got college I got to think about. I got to feed 6 people. I have to be a good example to them. So having these little humans and a wife to answer to, right? I have to play at a different level every single day. And if you're doing drugs or alcohol, or if you have a wife that would tolerate porn or infidelity, right? That again, you are lowering your peer group. So get around people who are going to hold you to a high standard. And by the way, vice versa, right? You want someone who you're going to hold to a high standard. Again, I have no moral issues here. I'm not here to judge you at all. But I can tell you that drugs, alcohol, porn, infidelity, those 4 things, right, are like, will completely destroy your life and business. If you have a successful business right now and you wind up getting a divorce because of porn or infidelity, you're going to be starting at ground zero, okay, financially. I'm just telling you, I'm warning you that right now. It's funny, I had a private coaching client, and he was struggling with one of these, and he was talking about getting into rehab. And I had, he's like, I don't know about entering rehab to get, to get rid of this. It sounds really expensive. And I chuckled and I was like, you think that sounds expensive? Not only will your real estate crumble, but you're going to lose your marriage. I was like, you need to get into rehab right now. Sign up. It's the best investment you'll ever make. Okay. And then get back into business. I go, this has nothing to do with me judging you. I want you to make more money. And so this is the way to do it. Long story short, he got into rehab, had the best year in business. Okay. The next year. And by the way, this is not an isolated incident. I've seen this multiple times. Obviously that, all this stuff's confidential. And so this is not just one person that I've seen. I've seen multiple people come to me with these issues. You get this out of your life, man, you will not believe the quality of people that you will start to attract. And this is where the really fulfilling part is. You become a beacon and example to other people, and they will follow you. They will be like, man, how did you make that jump? Now, you're going to remove, and I'm sorry, going back to number 5, which is back away from toxic relationships. The reason why you might be in the drugs, alcohol, porn, or infidelity is because your peer group, right, may accept this from you, right? And so you want to be around a peer group of friends who are like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You think this is a good idea, right? Or if, they found out that you were there's a source of infidelity with your spouse, right? They'd be like, what the hell? Like, pull your family together, man. So again, I'm not judging, just from a purely financial perspective. And number 6, virtual mentors. Here's the beauty of this. If you're listening to this podcast, hopefully I'm one of your virtual mentors. I have many real mentors, which I have built relationships with, some of which I've paid, some of them which are virtual. But you can have anyone mentor you that you want, pretty much by buying their books and podcasts and videos. We live like in the most amazing time. So I'll quickly summarize here. Number one, check out your local groups. Toastmasters, Rotary Clubs, Chamber of Commerce. Two, paid masterminds. I think local is great, so why don't you check out Entrepreneurs Organization? They also have lower levels and higher levels, place things like Vistage. Real estate clubs, just be careful that you're growing in those. Paid mentors and coaches, seek out a local mentor. These people will coach you for free, but make sure, again, I prefer paid and free. 5, back away from toxic relationships, all the stuff that comes along with that, drugs, alcohol, porn, infidelity. I'm focusing purely on the financial aspect. And lastly, don't forget about your virtual mentors. You can literally surround yourself with anyone you want with the amount of information that is available to you. Don't forget to head over to nextlevelwholesaling.com, take that assessment. And if you've got any other ways to upgrade your peer group, I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching this on YouTube, plug in the comments. If you're listening to this on a podcast, send an email at support@nolimitsrealestateinvesting.com, or you could hit me up on social media at Todd Toback, and I will talk to you on the next episode.